Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering a lot of new things that I've tried, things that I really like and want to share my thoughts and opinions with you all. There's definitely some things though in the mix that I just haven't really taken a liking to. I want to start off with gaming mice. This is the Beast X Max. This is, I think, one of the best large mice on the market right now that you can get. In terms of large mice that I also enjoy, I've got the Pulsar X2H ES and the G Pro Superlight 2. I think the Viper V3 probably falls into the mix and the Death Adder V3 as well. But the Beast X Max and something that the WLMouse has going for it is just all of the different paint options that you can choose. You can see the Beast Max in the Fashion Gray. The regular mice just had the Fabulous Beast collab. And the size differential here is significant between the Max and the regular. So far, the build quality, despite its larger size, I have zero issues in terms of build. The side flex of the magnesium is non-existent. Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 do feel a little bit more plasticky than the rest of the body. Surprisingly, could be a result of the finish, the paint, etc. Mouse 2 does move a little bit more on my Beast X Max, but overall the quality, there's no switch grind, nothing I feel in game. The scroll wheel is rubberized, feels great. The steps are silent, it's not scratchy, and all the buttons are very spammable, especially when I opted for the Omron opticals. They just sound great, and the performance with the new 3950 sensor, I don't notice any performance gain over the the regular Beast sensor, but overall I've had zero issues in terms of RF signal disturbances, and 8K feels really nice in game. One of my favorite large mice right now for games like Apex, but for Call of Duty, I do swap to the G Pro Superlight 2. I think the G Pro Superlight 2, for whatever reason, whether it's the weight differential or the overall shape, but where I place my fingers, it does feel a little bit more narrow to me than the Viper V3, and whipping it around just feels nicer. And I think the extra added weight gives me a little bit more stability in my overall tracking. So it's very easy to flick around. I get that extra stability. It just feels really good for me in Call of Duty. But I am using the Beast Max and the Pulsar X2H as well for Apex and almost every other game. So there's a lot of really nice options on the market. You guys can see the Pulsar X2H Founders Edition. I love this green color. You guys can check out my main review. It's probably the mouse I'm performing on the most. And that's because the shape of the mouse is a little bit unique and it pushes my hand up a little bit and back, making me grip the mouse in a consistent way every time I pick it up. My performance is so killer on the Pulsar X2H ES, and the weight does not offend me at all. Again, I think even at this point in the game, I prefer the weight over things like the Viper and the Beast. The scroll wheel is different on this version. It's darker and it's kind of like this gunmetal gray. It looks super, super nice. And the coating on the mouse is about the same and just feels really good. I do have the Stormbreaker in the Platinum Edition. It is a really nice ergo mouse. Again, I have a full review of it. I think it falls into a unique category, the way the size and the shape feel, particularly as you swoop down to Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. But a lot of the things on the mouse that a lot of people didn't like are still present. The side buttons are very stiff. Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 actually do feel good, but in certain areas where you hit Mouse 2, for instance, on my copy, it still feels a little tight and dense. I think the shape, the performance here, moving from 2K to 4K with the new dongle, the performance feels great. I like the shape. But overall, the coating of the mouse just really isn't it for me. It feels very slippery, particularly when my environment gets very humid. So it is something that I did require the necessity of grips, which then, of course, throws off the aesthetic a little bit. But if you're looking for kind of something in the size bracket of like an EC3, it is a pretty compelling pickup if you like the paint jobs on the Ponage Stormbreaker. I have tried the Turtle Beach Burst 2 Air. This is a mouse that just didn't work for me. It's on the small sim side. You can see there are a few weird design aesthetics. You've got the Turtle Beach logo here, the Turtle Beach branding on the back, the top of the back. Just a lot of Turtle Beach thrown everywhere on the mouse. And then, of course, made in China in big font on the bottom, as if there was any question it was made in China. I think the coating of the mouse is not bad. It doesn't offend me. The side buttons just feel horrendous to me. They're very big and just feel like they have a little bit of pre-travel, and not really a whole lot of post-travel, but they just don't feel good to hit. And that carries over to Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 as well. They are optical switches, but they're very tight and heavy. It's almost like pushing my finger down on my glass pad. They feel super unexciting to use, and overall just feels like for $100 with no 4K, no 8K, feels like a complete miss. I also don't like the shape. It just feels like a blob in the hand. And when you compare it to other things on the market that are a little bit more expensive, come with 8K, magnesium, etc., like the Beast X, like the decision for me, my performance is so much better on the Beast X than it is the Burst 2 Air. I think it's really a miss from Turtle Beach, just in terms of the overall design aesthetic and the lacking features. They do have the DPI button here on the top side of the mouse, and I think it's just peculiar. It's not something that you'd be able to bind or hit in game on the fly. You would have to really just twist your grip around in a very awkward way. I don't know why the DPI button isn't just on the top of the mouse under the scroll wheel, which just seemed like a more fitting place originally from mice historically. At least then you can bind it and you get another button. But overall, I think the overall build quality, the feeling of the mouse in general in terms of shape, Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, it's been one of my worst performing mice this year and not something I'm going to recommend for the price of admission. If you're in the market for a budget mouse, I think the Incot G Hero Pro is one of the best budget mice that I've tried. I'll say the best budget mouse that I've tried. I think you can get this for like $50 on Mechkeys, even a little bit cheaper on AliExpress. But this is basically a little bit smaller of an NP01, and really, when you can pay $13 to get an included 8K dongle, the performance here was great. My tracking felt really crisp. I had no RF signal issues. The 8K felt stable, and the coating of the mouse actually does feel quite good. It doesn't feel like a cheap plasticky mouse. The Pro version is 65 grams because it has a bigger battery, but overall, all of the buttons here are so tightened up. Everything feels superb. And I think it's using Blue Shell Pink Dots as Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. The only thing I didn't like were the side buttons. They feel mushy, and the plastic does travel into the inside of the shell a little bit. But overall, for the shape that you're getting, which is like a little bit smaller of an NP01, the overall weight balance is great. Performance is great. I just can't see another budget mouse coming along and dethroning this anytime soon. And if you're interested in the NP01, but it was a little too expensive for you, I would absolutely test out the Incot G Hero Pro. This is my favorite budget mouse, my favorite mouse that I've tested from Mechkeys or an off-brand coming out from China. I think it's a really enticing pickup. And even if you have a lot of nice mice, but you're interested in that NP01 shape, I think it's still worth a pickup. It's really nice in terms of its overall performance and shape. I have tried the new Santali mouse. This is a pre-production unit though, so everything is going to be buttoned up. It does remind me of the build quality and the feel of a Ninjutsu mouse. Even the dongle is somewhat Ninjutsu-esque. If I had to put this or compare it to something, it would probably be like an X2V2 large. I think the shape will be compelling for a lot of people, but it is more on the large side. And I think that it kind of warrants you or kind of makes you want to palm it a little bit more. Overall, though, I do like the shape, and I think it's going to be a compelling look when it does release to the market. This copy, again, it's pre-production. The side buttons do feel mushy. They have a bit of post-travel. Overall, though, Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 seem to be actually pretty well buttoned up. Just a little bit movement on Mouse 2. Scroll wheel feels great. A little scratchy. Mouse 3, very spammable. But overall, I think the big thing is going to be the size and shape. It does feel a little unique in terms of other things on the market. And again, I think with its 8K performance, it will be a compelling drop when it releases. I did have issues early on in my testing with this pre-production sample. Felt like I had RF signal issues. The mouse would all of a sudden randomly kind of start skipping, or almost like it would be like cutting out from the dongle itself. So, hopefully with a firmware update later down the road, things will improve and or be resolved. But it is an interesting shape, again, to look at and keep your eyes on. In terms of IEMs, I still am testing and wrapping up testing on the Volare as well as the Simgot Dream. The Dream seems to be falling behind the Super Mix 4 for me in game right now across all titles. The Volare, I think, will probably fall around a B to B minus. It's a really nice IEM. The imaging is good, separation, layering are there, but the soundstage is a little bit broad, and you kind of lose the emphasis and urgency of a lot of things within the mix. I think it makes depth perception just not slap as hard and become as noticeable as other things. But it is a good IEM to pick up if you are interested in its overall features and tonality for music. The Dream, again, I have to put a lot more time into. You guys know the Collab IEM has launched for pre-orders, and I think a lot of people are going to be happy with this. I think it's obviously a little bit of a conflict if I put this on the Wallhack certified tier list, but if I was, I think it would be fairly high around the ranking of the Yanyan Cannon 2. And I do think it performs better in Call of Duty than the Orchestra Lights. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it because it's very clear, clean, has great layering, separation. The soundstage is very good in what we like. It's big, but not too big, where things kind of push away and you lose that emphasis and urgency. And it does have nice, punchy bass, and it's just a clear tuning. So I think a lot of people are going to like it across a wide array of titles, which is the kind of the way we wanted to design it. We wanted it to be solid for music, but also then something that transitions well into not just Apex, not just COD, but performs well in everything. And I think we have done that, and I hope people agree. I have been testing the Mega 5 EST. I think that this is an IEM that is solid. It has a nice ergonomic design. It packs a lot of drivers in there for the size of the IEM. It's got a really nice, punchy, but very clean bass. I do think that for Call of Duty, the soundstage does kind of get pushed away a little bit, kind of like the Volare, but its cleanliness and its detail retrieval is, I think, better. So it does perform a little bit better than the Volare in Call of Duty. I think it performed absolutely fantastic in Apex Legends in terms of depth perception, imaging, etc. But I still need to wrap up testing on the Mega 5 EST in a lot more titles. But I do think the Mega 5 EST is going to rank high on the list, but I'm just not sure how high right now. I also am testing in IEM the Tigerism Helianthus. Overall, that faceplate is just absolutely beautiful. The cable feels really nice and heavy duty. It's definitely an interesting IEM so far. In COD's the only thing I've tested. They are very bass heavy, but overall they actually are performing quite well. So I've got to get a lot more time testing these, and I'll do a little update with the Volare and the Simgot EM10 or Dream. You guys can also see I've got the new Chameleon Grips from X-Raypad on my G Pro Superlight. I actually really enjoy these, and I do enjoy the grips more than any of the default coatings on any of my mice. The grips are very thin. They perform very well in humidity, and the black color, at least, which is the only one I've tried, is holding up very well. I think that it really feels good during gameplay. It just provides a really nice feel, a really nice grip, and it's not anything that feels too sticky, but overall stays very dry and maintains a really nice feeling on the mouse. I'm really enjoying the Chameleon Grips right now, and I will be giving some away on Twitter, so keep your eyes open for that giveaway. Really, really nice grips, the best I've tried to date. A lot of people have, for whatever reason, kind of like taken issue with the Pulsar XBoard QS because of its price of admission. I'm not a keyboard guy. I got my Cyberboard R4 and I'm like done. I don't really review keyboards. I don't want to review keyboards. But I will say that out of all the keyboards I've tested, yes, I know this is $300. The value is up to you guys in terms of your assessments, but I will say this is one of the best tuned boards out of the box, with the stabilizers all feeling and sounding absolutely amazing. It does have a lot of features, but overall, I just want to reiterate that even the performance of this, even though it's not geared or marketed as a gaming board, it felt absolutely fine in game. The typing experience is one of the best out of the box that I've used. Everything feels so buttoned up and so great as a out-of-box experience. I think a lot of people would be happy with it, but obviously it's up to you guys if the features are worth that price of admission. I think the board looks great and overall sounds and performs really well. And then you can see the back of the board. The rubber feet do pick up quite a bit of things. I've got dog hair and things like that. But the bottom of the board is open. I think the aesthetic looks good and the overall feel, again, is quite nice. The only new pads that I have tried, I will discuss here in a bit. But you guys can see really the only mice in my rotation right now: the Pulsar X2H ES, Viper V3, Beast X, Beast X Max, and G Pro Superlight 2. The things I like to pair with my mice right now for ranked play are the Raiden Soft in the XL, and I like the Neptune Pro as well in Soft from Lethal Gaming Gear. Two really, really nice pads, and two that kind of complement each other in a way in terms of their similarities. The only two pads that I've tried recently that I haven't really mentioned yet are the Wallhack MO001 and the Wallhack SY001. With just G Pro default skates, the MO001 is a hybrid pad. It's kind of like what you expect in terms of a hybrid surface feel, but it is a slower pad, and one that if you need some additional control, depending on, of course, what skates you're using, it is a pretty nice pad here in terms of its overall quality and feel for some additional control. It is slower than the SY001. The SY001 to me kind of looks and feels like a Lethal Saturn, but it does feel ever so slightly faster. If you're somebody looking for like balance with a tick towards speed, this is definitely something that is pretty nice as well. But again, like, it's very hard for new mouse pads to get like a permanent spot on my desk for ranked gameplay. I'm really only using the Raiden Soft, the Neptune Pro Soft, or a glass pad, either the Wallhack SP004 or the Akari. It's just like all the new mouse pads that come out, they're just not all really breaking through the mold or the bar that's set very high for some very good mouse pads that are already out. So it's a very tough market, but just for what I'm using right now, when I'm maining, I find myself maining the, again, Artisan or Neptune. I hope that helps, guys. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next review. Peace.